What's going on, Jerome's? So when the Minnesota Vikings hired general manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah back in 2022, there were some questions because Kwesi doesn't come from your standard general manager background. He wasn't a former player, wasn't a former scout, coming from the analytics background and whatnot. So there certainly was a lot of questions about, is he just going to moneyball this thing? We will replace players in the aggregate. That's what we will do. We'll get David Justice, and then they'll have to pay for soda in the locker room. No. But Kwesi, even though it's had some ups and downs, especially that 2022 draft class. But this offseason, you got to admit, Kwesi absolutely stunted on them hoes, and he absolutely was cooking with gas, and it was just fun to watch this offseason because you let Kwesi cook. And basically what it came down to, Kwesi, Kevin O'Connell talked about this competitive rebuild, and this offseason was ripping off the Band-Aid, but frankly, I've loved all of the moves. I've understood them. Some I've disagreed with, some I've been all in on, but basically, you got to feel good about the outlook for the future of this team, even if you're the most curmudgeon Vikings fan, whoever Eeyore, here we go, blah, 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 blah. You got to have just like a smidgen of hope. You got to feel good. Make me feel good. Because, all right, so the highlights of Kwesi's offseason so far. Letting Kirk Cousins walk, moving on from Danielle Hunter. Now, I'll always love Danielle, and Kurt sort of is what it is, but Kwesi was not going to have the team pay what the Falcons paid. 4 years, $180 million, $100 million guaranteed over 2.5 seasons. And with Danielle, respect. Danielle got the bag, and he's probably a better fit schematically for DeMeco Ryans and the Texans. He got to go home. It's fantastic. And the Vikings, again, I joked about Moneyball, but the Vikings are going to be replacing Danielle Hunter in the aggregate with AVG, with Jonathan Grenard, Diamond Dallas Turner, etc. Also, through the various free agency moves, the Vikings are projected for a 2025 third-round compensatory pick, potentially more. Also, they did sign Aaron Jones coming across the river. Blake Cashman outside. How about that? Is going to be fantastic with Ivan Pace Jr. in the middle of that defense, as well as some of the other free agents. Shaq Griffin, I think, is going to be one of the more underrated free agents out there. Also, the Vikings in the draft. So remember, Kwesi positioned himself very nicely by acquiring that first-round pick from the Texans, where it's like, hey, we could sell the farm, move up into the top 5, top 3 if we feel like it, but the deal didn't come up. And maybe there was offers there. Maybe there was deals on the table, but the Vikings did not mortgage the future. They did not sell the farm for their future franchise quarterback. They waited. They let the board play out and made a small trade up for J.J. McCarthy. And in terms of what Kevin O'Connell is looking for, it is going to fit hand in glove. And I think that J.J. McCarthy is going to be awesome for the future franchise quarterback for the Vikings. I think his disposition, I think that his talent, skill set, and also I think that just his demeanor with Kevin O'Connell and company, I think is going to work out beautifully, man. Also, Diamond Dallas Turner at 17. You were making a small trade up for 23 and securing potentially the best and youngest edge rusher in this class. It's freaking awesome, man. Plus the rest of the draft, Kyrie Jackson, rest in power. Like he was fantastic in the 4th round. Will Rock Hurd in 6th round. Hopefully finally solving the Vikings kicking issues. Levi Drake Rodriguez, senior sack in the 7th round. I think that he's a guy that the Viking scouts and Kwesi adored, and they waited things out. They could have drafted him early, but they kept their powder dry, and they still got him in the 7th round. It's great. I love me some Gabriel Murphy. I love me some Dwight McLaughlin. I think this draft is going to be fantastic. And also, the Vikings retain their 2025 first rounder. Yeah, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, whatever, right? But the Vikings held on to their first, and also, like we said, are in line for at least a 3rd-round comp pick projected, potentially even more. And then extensions. The biggest question of the offseason, getting Jefferson under contract, and he made him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Everyone's happy. Also, bit of a surprise. So it really was a sneak attack on the Christian Darrisaw extension because it completely blindsided the local beat writers and the media. It really did because, respect to Kwesi and Darrisaw's agent, Drew Rosenhaus, they kept this thing under wraps. Like there was no leak of a deal being imminent. And a lot of the beat writers and media people, they expected, hey, the Vikings are probably going to let this year play out, and then they'll reevaluate in the offseason. Nope. No, deal done. And the Vikings, so you could say, well, why extend Darrisaw with 2 years left on his deal? And we did a video talking about why it's actually a huge advantage for the Vikings having Darrisaw under contract for 6 seasons of his prime. And the Vikings, because they took their medicine, letting Daniil and Kirk Cousins walk, as well as Marcus Davenport, all of those void year dead cap hits are coming home to roost, and they're eating it. They're eating it, taking it right in the face in 2024, and they're freeing up all this glorious cap space in 2025 so they can weather the Darrisaw extension. They could be huge players in free agency, ideally in the trenches, both of them, next year. And all this while Sam Darnold is a great bridge quarterback at $10 million, but more importantly, J.J. McCarthy, the future of a franchise, on his rookie deal, which is still the greatest competitive advantage in terms of cap manipulation, because you're starting on his rookie deal. You can spend all that sweet money everywhere else. Also, Duke M.F. Shelley is back, and that's what matters, man. So this was a grand slam, just absolutely crushed it this offseason for Kwesi. And also, if you think back, so think about the long-term contract negotiations that he's had, the high-profile ones. So T.J. Hockenson, at the time, became the highest-paid tight end in NFL history with incentives, putting him just above Darren Waller. And Darren Waller obviously ain't earning any more money. But aside from Hawkinson's earache, there wasn't any animosity in those negotiations, and it got done. Same thing with Justin Jefferson, the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history, and you didn't hear any drama outside of manufactured drama by the media. You didn't hear that. And like we said, with Darrisaw, it just sort of came out of nowhere, right? So, and also Darrisaw is the highest paid left tackle in NFL history in terms of average per season, as well as total guarantee. Remember, Penei Sewell got more guaranteed, but he's a right tackle right now, until Decker leaves, and then Sewell moved to left tackle, but you know what I mean. But so the fact that Hockenson, Jefferson, and Darrisaw are all the highest paid in NFL history at their respective positions, and those negotiations went so damn smooth. There wasn't any anonymous sources. There wasn't any sniping in the media. There wasn't any passive aggressiveness on social media. That really speaks to Kwesi, man, where maybe it does help that he doesn't come from a scouting background. And he comes from an orthodox football background. He comes from Wall Street, et cetera, where he approaches these contract negotiations with respect for the player, with respect to the agent, and they go smoothly. And the player gets his money. He's super happy. The agent's happy as well. And yeah, I mean, the Vikings pay out the money, but they also protect themselves in terms of the structure of the deals. And that's fantastic for Kwesi and also for the Vikings. So it's night and day with like the Cowboys and Jerry Jones. Like, I mean, CeeDee Lamb trying to get $1 out of the Cowboys, it's like pulling teeth. The same thing is going to happen with Micah Parsons. Same thing is happening with Dak Prescott. Same thing happened with Trevon Diggs. Same thing happened with Romo throughout the year. Same thing happened with Dez Bryant. I mean, even going back to like Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith. Remember Emmitt Smith, after they won a Super Bowl, held out for 2 games? Because Jerry Jones wouldn't freshen up his contract. And the Cowboys have just been terrible at paying their own guys. And I'm glad that the Vikings don't have that internal drama. Plus, it's great for the culture where it's like, hey, inside this locker room, if you do everything right, if you bust your ass out on the field, it will be recognized and it will be rewarded and there won't be drama. That's what it comes down to, man. So, props to Kwesi, who is absolutely cooking this offseason, man. I friggin' love all of this. It's great. Turn the page. But that's it. Your thoughts are thoughts. Kwesi got after it. Doing like the little cutting up the shrimp with the fork and the knife, flipping them up in the hat, the onion volcano. Yeah. You guys know what to do. Skol, production value.